that will make Rama impotent. He has no idea that Rama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, as a Rakshasa, he doesn't fear any man because Rakshasas eat human beings. They eat human beings just like human beings eat hamburgers. Rakshasas eat human beings like a burger. Right? So it was never even occurred to him that a human being could kill him. In fact, when he asked for benedictions from Brahma, he forgot to mention human beings. He said, no Rakshasa can kill me, no demigod can kill me, no demons can kill me, no this, no that. But he didn't mention human beings. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears as Ramachandra, seemingly a human being on the earth. O King Parikshit, when Ravana, who had 10 heads on his shoulders, heard about the beautiful and attractive features of Sita, his mind was agitated by lusty desires, and he went to kidnap her. To distract Lord Ramachandra from his ashrama, Ravana sent Maricha in the form of a golden deer, and when Lord Ramachandra saw that wonderful deer, he left his residence and followed it, and finally killed it with a sharp arrow, just as Lord Shiva killed Daksha. Well, Ravana, don't forget, Marichi was sent as a messenger and as a message to Ravana, and Ramachandra shot him with an arrow, purposely didn't kill him, and that arrow sent him through the air for thousands of miles from some area in middle or northern India all the way to Sri Lanka. And not only Surpanaka explained to Ravana about the immense, incredible power of Lord Ramachandra, but Maricha also, because Maricha had seen how Ramachandra killed 14,000 Rakshasas and shot him with an arrow in such a way that he flew through the air without dying and was basically a living messenger for Ravana. So when Ravana tells Maricha, I want to kidnap Sita, Maricha, and that he wants Maricha to help him, Maricha realized, I'm going to die. But Ravana says, if you don't do this, then I'll kill you. So then Maricha had an existential dilemma. Should he be killed by Ravana or should he be killed by Rama? But he knew at this point that Rama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he said, much better to be killed by Rama than this demon Ravana. He himself is a demon, but he realized the value of being killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he'll go back to Godhead. Anything that the Lord does is good. Even if it seems to be something ghastly, it's actually good. So Maricha very wisely chose to die, be killed by Lord Rama, rather than to be killed by Ravana. What benefit is there to be killed by a demon? There's no benefit at all. But to be killed by the Lord means one is purified and goes back to Godhead. So Maricha agrees to help Ravana, and he transforms himself into a golden deer. And Sita sees this deer, and she begs Rama to please chase down the deer and bring the deer back as a pet. She wants to have a pet golden deer. And Rama, understanding how dangerous the forest is, tells Lakshman, you stay here and guard Sita while I go and find the deer. So when Rama leaves, Sita is waiting, and she becomes a little impatient, and then for some reason or other she begins to accuse Lakshman of purposely staying back with her, as if he has some design or some plan to win her favors, let's say it like that. And Lakshman is shocked, right? Lakshman is the most pure-hearted person. You would never even imagine, in any way harming Sita. And she gets so, let's say, adamant about her suspicion about Lakshman, that he finally agrees to go out and find Rama. And at one point when Maricha is shot with the arrow of Rama, he says, "Oh, Sita," and he dies. So Sita thinks maybe Rama has been injured. And from that point on, she becomes very adamant that Lakshman leave her and go and find her brother. So Lakshman agrees. He tries to convince her. He said, Rama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one can harm him. But Sita doesn't want to hear that. So now this is playing into Ravana's hand. Ravana disguises himself as a Brahmana, and when Lakshman is away trying to fetch Rama, the so-called Brahmana comes and begs Sita to give him some water, a little charity or something. And Sita at first is a little hesitant, but then she thinks, oh, he's a Brahmana, so I should serve him. And as soon as she brings him something, he grabs her and then reveals himself as Ravana. And then Ravana, of course, can fly through the air. He doesn't need a special airplane, although he has a flying chariot. And now Sita starts to scream, and eventually when Rama and Lakshman come back, they don't see her, and they're shocked. And they don't know what happened to her. And now they become panicked, and then they start searching throughout the forest. So this is the beginning of the real Ramayana drama, that Rama now will go through a very long period, at least 1 year or more, trying to find Sita. And during this time he acts as if he's like an ordinary human being with feelings of devastation, of tears in his eyes, lamentation, and so forth. Okay, so when Ramachandra entered the forest and Lakshman was also absent, the worst of the Rakshasas, Ravana, kidnapped Sita Devi, the daughter of the king of Videha, just as a tiger seizes unprotected sheep when the shepherd is absent. In other words, this was a dastardly act. Ravana did not act like a chivalrous person, challenging Rama to fight him. He uses a ruse, some trickery, so that Sita is left alone for a short period of time, and then he kidnaps her, just like a fox steals a chicken from a chicken coop. It's a cowardly act. It's dishonorable, and it's stealing another man's wife, basically. So there's no excuse for it. So he kidnaps Sita. Then Lord Ramachandra wandered in the forest with his brother Lakshman, as if very much distressed due to separation from his wife. Thus he showed by his personal example the condition of a person attached to women. This is a very important point. Sankaracharya gives an example. He says, once a man met a woman. She was very attractive, and she smiled at him, and he smiled back, and then they struck up a conversation, and then one thing led to another. They fell in love, and then they got married, and the man was in ecstasy. And they went on a honeymoon, and the man thought he was in the spiritual world. And then after the honeymoon, they had a little argument, and the man began to feel some anxiety. And then they had more arguments, and he felt more anxiety. And finally, the woman said, I don't love you anymore. And he felt devastated. And then she said, I want to get a divorce. And he felt as if he should commit suicide. And it was a very difficult divorce. And he lost everything. And he was in deep despair and lamentation. So Sankaracharya says, the attachment to the same woman led to ecstasy, and then it led to extreme disgust and devastation. See? So this is something that we should think about. If we're going to become attached to something, we should be attached to Krishna. If we become attached to, let's say a woman becomes attached to a man, or a man becomes attached to a woman, it can lead to happiness and extreme distress. It can, both of these things can be experienced. In this verse, the words Sri Sanginam Gatim Iti indicate that the condition of a person attached to women was shown by the Lord himself. According to moral instructions, Grihe Narim Vivar Jayet, when one goes on a tour, one should not bring his wife. Formerly, men used to travel without conveyances, meaning without cars or trains or airplanes. But still, as far as possible, when one leaves home, one should not take his wife with him, especially if one is in such a condition as Lord Ramachandra, when banished by the order of his father. Whether in the forest or at home, if one is attached to women, this attachment is always troublesome, as shown by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his personal example. So, this sounds a little bit harsh, but actually it's the truth. That is, the marriage should be entered into as between a man and a woman as a mutual attachment to Krishna. Then it will be a harmonious marriage. But if it's I love you type of attachment, meaning I love your body and the other person loves your body, that is very tenuous. And it can easily, that type of bond can easily be broken. As soon as there's any, let's say, incompatibility, sensual incompatibility, there'll be divorce. So, before someone gets married, they should understand, what does it actually mean to get married? It means that the husband and wife are both married to Krishna. That's the real meaning of it. But most people think, oh, they're married to each other, right? So when they're married to each other, that means one body is married to another body. As I said, that's a very tenuous attraction and attachment. And it can be easily broken. As we see today, at least in America, 50% of marriages end in divorce. It used to be, 3%, 5%, 10%. Now it's up to 50%. And in certain communities, like the black community and others, it's even worse than that. It's up to 70%. And many kids today grow up either with one parent or no parent. So, obviously, the kids become troubled and don't really develop all the good qualities necessary to live a productive life. So, I once, way before I was in Krishna consciousness, I was traveling with a young girl through North Africa, and everywhere I went in the Muslim countries, I had problems because I was with an attractive girl. and the Muslim men, they had no shame at all. They would say hello without looking at me, looking at the girl. And they would shake hands with me looking at the girl like this and smiling at her, right? I mean, it was like, it was very uncomfortable, not only for me, but for the girl. It was extremely uncomfortable. She was harassed all the time, and I had to try and protect her, and I was being harassed all the time. So, and of course, we were hitchhiking, so that's even worse, right? So you have to be stupid to do that, and I was too young to know any better. Anyway, Prabhupada says, of course, this is the material side of Sri Stangi, but the situation of Lord Ramachandra is spiritual, for he does not belong to the material world. Narayana Parovyakta. Narayana is beyond the material creation. Because he is the creator of the material world, he is not subject to the conditions of the material world. The separation of Lord Ramachandra from Sita is spiritually understood as vipralamba, which is an activity of the Hladini potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, belonging to the Shringara rasa, the mellow of conjugal love in the spiritual world. So now this sounds like coded language, right? Because they're using words here, mixing Sanskrit and English, because certain words in Sanskrit cannot be properly translated into English. What Prabhupada is saying is that when the Supreme Lord appears, even though he appears seemingly to be an ordinary human being like Ramachandra, it's impossible for materially attached people to understand the activities of the Lord. It's impossible, because they'll always try and equate their mundane feelings, desires, and activities and project them on the Lord. That's why we should never read any translation of Scripture done by mundane people, because they use speculation and logic to translate, and they'll end up usually with the opposite meaning of what the Scripture says. So here, for someone like Ravana, he thinks, Ramachandra now is defeated. He's walking around in different forests of India, saying, "Sita, Sita, where are you?" like a wimp, and he has no inkling where she is. He'll never find me. Even the devas can't come to Lanka because I'm so powerful, and this island is protected by so many Rakshasas, and therefore I have no fear. Ramachandra is defeated. Right? Well, Ramachandra's crying and feeling separation from Sita has nothing to do with mundane attachment. He is manifesting what's called vipralamba bhava. Bhava means the ecstatic feelings in separation from Sita. So this is exactly what Lord Chaitanya demonstrated in this world. He came as the combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. He's Krishna experiencing Radharani's feelings of ecstatic love for Krishna. So Krishna perceived in the spiritual world that Radharani was experiencing a type of ecstasy that he could not understand. So the only way he could understand it was to accept the position of Radharani and then experience her nectarian ecstasies in separation from Krishna. So this vipralamba bhava is love and separation. Even Shakespeare said, absence makes the heart grow fonder. So when you love someone very much and you're separated from them, the love increases, and it's much more intense due to the separation. So, but Ravana, being a materialist, he couldn't understand that. He thought, this is just a symptom of a weak human being going around saying, "Sita, Sita, where are you?" He's confused, he's lost, and I won. The separation of Lord Ramachandra from Sita is spiritually understood as vipralamba, intense love and separation, which is an activity of the Hiladini potency of the Supreme Personality of God. The Hiladini is internal potency of love and devotion for Krishna, represented by Srimati Radharani, which is an activity of the Hiladini potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, belonging to the Shringara rasa, the mellow of conjugal love in the spiritual world. So this is the highest rasa. You have the rasa of neutrality, and then you have the rasa of servitorship, the rasa of friendship, the rasa of parental love, and then the conjugal rasa, which is the highest and most, let's say, complex rasa or nectarian relationship with Krishna. So Shringara Rasa is the mellow of conjugal love in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has all the dealings of love, displaying the symptoms called Sattvika, Sanchari, Vilapa, Murcha, and Unmada. So these are different stages going from very poetic, artistic, harmonious love all the way to a state of madness. Thus, when Lord Ramachandra was separated from Sita, all these spiritual symptoms were manifested. The Lord is neither impersonal nor impotent. Rather, he is Satchitananda Vigraha, the form of eternal bliss and knowledge, the eternal form of knowledge and bliss. Thus, he has all the symptoms of spiritual bliss. Feeling separation from one's beloved is also an item of spiritual bliss. As explained by Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikirtir, Hiladini Shakti. The dealings of love between Radha and Krishna are displayed as the pleasure potency of the Lord. The Lord is the original source of all pleasure, the reservoir of all pleasure. Lord Ramachandra, therefore, manifested the truth both spiritually and materially. Materially, those who are attached to women suffer, but spiritually, when there are feelings of separation between the Lord and his pleasure potency, the spiritual bliss of the Lord increases. So what is horrible in this world is the most wonderful thing in the spiritual world. Therefore, whatever we're seeing in this world is a perverted reflection of what's going on in the spiritual world. The Lord is the original source of all pleasure, the reservoir of all pleasure. Lord Ramachandra therefore manifested the truth both spiritually and materially. Materially, those who are attached to women suffer, but spiritually, when there are feelings of separation between the Lord and his pleasure potency, the spiritual bliss of the Lord increases. This is further explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11, Avajanati mam mudha manusimtanam asritaha param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. One who does not know the spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead thinks of the Lord as an ordinary human being. But the Lord's mind, intelligence, and senses can never be affected by material conditions. This fact is further explained in the Skanda Purana as quoted by Madhvacharya. So, persons who are ignorant of who Krishna actually is and what is spiritual life, they think that when Krishna appears in this world, he's an ordinary human being. Therefore, Krishna's mind, intelligence, senses can never be affected by material conditions. That is something that the materialists don't understand. They think he's just like us. So it's something like if you, if there's a person who has absolutely no interest in the material world, and one example like that would be a person who has gone through the four stages of, or the four ashramas. In other words, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, and gone through them properly. Well, near the end of their sannyas, near the end of their life, they have completely taken shelter of Krishna. Therefore, nothing, if they've gone through those stages in a proper way, nothing attracts them in the material world because their whole life is dedicated to Krishna. So, this is the miracle of Krishna consciousness. If we follow Krishna consciousness sincerely, we completely lose our attraction to the material world. And we learn to use everything material in the service of Krishna. That means we've lost our attraction to the material world. We don't do 1 for Krishna, 1 for me. 2 for Krishna, 4 for me. 4 for Krishna, 8 for me. We don't do like that. We do all for Krishna. That means that So it's difficult for materialistic people to understand someone who's living with that mentality of all for Krishna. Just like when I drive around with the free food truck, people, when they talk to me, they say, "Free? How do you do that?" I said, "Well, we do it, because we love Krishna." He said, "Yeah, but where do you get the money from?" I said, "Well, Krishna provides if we sincerely serve him." And they just, have a big question mark in their brain. They can't figure it out. How is it possible? So only devotees who are dedicated to serving Krishna can understand these deeper states of pure love that the Lord manifests. Ravana could not understand at all Ramachandra. He had no way of understanding. Even though many people explained to him, his own wife, Mandodari, tried to convince him, give Sita back. You cannot defeat Ramachandra. His brother Vibhishan pleaded with him, you can't defeat Ramachandra. Give Sita back, he'll forgive you. His wife, Mandodari, pleaded with him. And his brothers, Vibhishan, pleaded with him. And Hanuman, when he was captive, he told Ravana, give Sita back and Rama will forgive you. Sita Devi said, give me back to my husband. You cannot defeat him. So many people, and Marichi also told him. So this is the symptom of a demon. Demons never take good advice. It's like water off the back of a duck. Ducks have these special feathers that, they don't get wet. It can rain and rain and they won't get wet. So in the same way, a demon, he can receive good advice over and over again, he won't take it. Just like I've seen this many times, someone is a little bit older and they get cancer and we give them advice, you should change your diet, no more coffee, no more meat. They can't do it. They won't stop. And they usually say, oh, well, all my life I've been eating this stuff, let me die happy. Meaning, I'm going to continue eating this and let me just die happy, right? But when they end up, in the emergency room with tubes down their throat and tubes in their veins, then they feel sorry for themselves, but it's too late. So the symptom of a demon and of a very ignorant person is they will not take good advice, even though they might hear it many, many times. It's just like going to the doctor diagnoses exactly what your sickness is, gives you the right medicine for the sickness, you pay him for the medicine, you go home and you throw it away. So then why did you go through all that trouble if you were going to throw away the medicine? In the same way, if someone asks for good advice and they get it, but they don't follow it, then why did they waste anybody's time asking for good advice? You see? It's incumbent on a person that if they ask for good advice and they receive good advice, they should take it, even if it might be a little uncomfortable in the beginning. So this verse, 9:11, one who does not know the spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead thinks of the Lord as an ordinary human being. But the Lord's mind, intelligence, and senses can never be affected by material conditions. This fact is further explained in the Skanda Purana, as quoted by Madhvacharya, and he quotes 5 verses from the Skanda Purana, which basically says, it was actually impossible for Ravana to take away Sita. The form of Sita, taken by Ravana, was an illusory representation of Mother Sita, Maya Sita. When Sita was tested in the fire, this Maya Sita was burned, and the real Sita came out of the fire. So this is another esoterical pastime of the Lord. Sita Devi, of course, cannot be touched by any demon, especially someone like Ravana. So the Sita that he took was Maya Sita, another Sita, specifically to protect Mother Sita, the real Sita. Then, after Ravana was killed and Sita was liberated, there was a dramatic scene where Lord Ramachandra seemingly had doubts about the chastity of Sita because he was captive for over a year by Ravana. And he mentioned that to her. And then she said, well, if you doubt me, then I'll walk into the fire. And if I burn to death, you know I have been unfaithful to you. And if even my sari doesn't burn, then you know that I've been completely faithful. So there's a story behind this, because Ravana takes the Maya Sita, and now for Rama to be reunited with the real Sita, Maya Sita goes into the fire, and Agni walks out of the fire with the real Sita and hands her to Rama. So it's impossible for the demons to defile the real Mother Sita. So this Maya Sita, real Sita, is further elaborated upon by the Sri Vaishnavas, who claim that because the Maya Sita actually wanted to marry Ravana. So in the history of Balaji, at one point, after Bhrigu Muni insults Lord Vishnu, Lakshmi Devi becomes really upset, and because she couldn't stop him from insulting her Lord, so she feels as if she's been she let the Lord down. So she leaves Vaikuntha and comes to the earth and hides and performs severe austerities. Well, later on, Vishnu also appears on the earth as Balaji, and he sees a princess on the Tirupati mountain, and her name is Padmavati, and he desires to marry her. And Padmavati is actually the Maya Sita. So in order for the Maya Sita, who played the part of Sita but was kidnapped by Ravana, to give her a chance to actually marry her Lord. And Ramachandra is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai. So eventually Balaji reunites with Lakshmi Devi and Padmavati. Therefore, if you go to Tirupati, you'll see Padmavati and Lakshmi Devi standing next to Balaji. And so this story of the appearance of Balaji is a continuation of the pastime in a sense, or a culmination of the pastime where Maya Sita was kidnapped by Ravana. A further understanding, and also from the when Sita agrees to walk into a fire to prove her chastity to Lord Ramachandra, this principle of the ordeal of fire came into existence. And this was practiced even in medieval times in Europe and even in the United States. Sometimes when a criminal was apprehended in Europe or early colonial America, and they claimed to be innocent, they had a choice, because there was no way of proving whether they're guilty or innocent sometimes. So they said, okay, if you're willing to walk into the fire and stay there, and you survive, you can go free. That's called the ordeal of fire, or the fire of ordeal. So many times criminals would choose to do that, and most of the time they would die, but sometimes miraculously they wouldn't die. They'd be burned severely, but they wouldn't die. Then they could go free. See? But this started originally with Sita walking into the fire. A further understanding to be derived from this example is that a woman, however powerful she may be in the material world, must be given protection. For as soon as she is unprotected, she will be exploited by Rakshasas like Ravana. Here the words Vaideha Raja Duhitari indicate that before Mother Sita was married to Lord Ramachandra, she was protected by her father, Vaideha Raja, and when she was married, she was protected by her husband. Therefore, the conclusion is that a woman should always be protected, according to the Vedic rule. There is no scope for a woman's being independent, asamaksham, for a woman cannot protect herself independently. Well, of course, feminists wouldn't agree with this. They'd go, that is so misogynistic, and that is so paternalistic, what was just read. And of course, that's nonsense. But even with the liberation of women and equal rights for women, the happiness of women has not improved. If anything, it's deteriorated seriously, because the ideal situation for a woman is to marry a man who is kind, gentle, always respectful, and self-controlled, and a genuine devotee of Krishna. That's the ideal. And then the woman feels protected. But if the husband is not exactly all those things, then they become, let's say, uneasy. Let's put it like that. So it's a great responsibility in marriage that the man should be an ideal devotee, and then the wife becomes ideal devotee also. But it's incumbent on men to protect women, whether you're a husband or a leader or anything. Men should protect women. They should not in any way exploit them. Illicit activities are the most sinful activities. Of all the sins, illicit connections outside of marriage is the most sinful. And it immediately destroys any attempt of advancing spiritually. Okay, so we're going to stop right there and continue tomorrow. If there are any questions, you can ask. Okay, no questions, no answers. So we'll stop. Thank you. Hare Krishna.